You? A CEO? You cannot even get hired at the coffee shop. His words struck harder than a slap. And when his friends laughed with him, loud, cruel, and careless, I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. But I would not cry in front of them. Not again. Not this time. Hey friends. If this is your first time here, welcome to my story time. This one is personal, intense, and deeply satisfying. If you have ever been mocked, underestimated, or humiliated, then watch this till the end, because I promise you, revenge is best served with success. Speech balloon, drop a comment, hit that like button, and do not forget to subscribe for more raw and real-life twists like this. I was 28, fresh out of a toxic relationship, and jobless for 6 humiliating months. I had applied everywhere, from accounting firms to local retail chains, with nothing but rejection emails and awkward interviews to show for it. My savings were gone, rent was late, and my self-esteem shattered. But the worst part? The man I once called my best friend, Derek, now laughed behind my back. Or rather, in my face. Derek and I had known each other since high school. We had both grown up in a small town in Wisconsin, where gossip traveled faster than light. Everyone knew I had big dreams. Everyone also knew I had just failed. Spectacularly. But Derek did not just watch me fall, he celebrated it. The dinner that broke me. It was supposed to be a casual catch-up. Derek had invited me to a dinner with his friends, a group of guys I had known vaguely in college. I showed up, hopeful, dressed in a blazer I had bought years ago during better times. They ordered cocktails. I asked for water. They talked about bonuses and promotions. I smiled through clenched teeth. Then Derek leaned over the table and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "You should have married rich, girl. At this point, a sugar daddy is your best chance." Laughter exploded. I laughed too. That fake, dry laugh women master when survival demands dignity. But inside, something twisted. Something dark. Something that would eventually rebuild me. That night, I walked home in heels that blistered my feet and tears that blurred my vision. I stared into my mirror and whispered to myself, "You will never feel this powerless again." I began learning everything I could about online business, branding, and tech consulting. I stayed up all night watching tutorials. I wrote business plans on napkins. I ate ramen noodles for weeks just to afford a basic laptop and a second-hand microphone for Zoom calls. Within months, I had clients, small at first. A local salon that needed a booking system. A struggling gym that needed social media content. Then, a breakthrough, a chain of real estate firms needing automation across multiple states. My name spread. My company, PowerShift Consulting, became known for helping businesses scale using streamlined systems. By year 2, I had 13 employees. By year 4, I had offices in 3 states, a revenue milestone I only dreamed about, and a chip on my shoulder still burning hot. Then fate delivered a gift. My HR manager walked into my office one Tuesday afternoon and placed a file on my desk. "Another applicant for the regional sales team," she said. "Strong people skills. Background in retail and corporate sales." I flipped the page and nearly dropped my coffee. Derek. His smiling LinkedIn profile stared back at me. He had no idea whose company this was. I smiled. My heart raced, not with panic, but with vindication. He did not know I was the founder and CEO of PowerShift. He had applied blindly, probably desperate like I once was. I did not call him for an interview. No. I called him for a meeting. He was seated in our conference room with his resume in hand. He stood up when I entered, visibly confused. He had not seen me yet. I stood behind the tinted glass wall as I watched him fidget. Then I opened the door. He looked up. Froze. Blinked. Stood. "You?" I walked in slowly, letting the silence choke the air between us. Then I smiled. Derek. Thank you for applying. His face turned pale. Wait, you work here? I let that sit for a second before I dropped the final blow. No. I own it. And just like that, everything changed. But I did not stop there. Because I had recognized the names of the other two applicants Derek had referred with glowing recommendations, his old friends. The same ones who laughed with him that night over cocktails. They were already working under contract. And I held their fate in my hands. Derek's voice trembled as he tried to recover from the shock. So, wait, you own PowerShift? I nodded, slowly, deliberately. Every contract. Every employee. Every desk here answers to me. He swallowed hard. That cocky smirk he always wore had crumbled into dust. I could almost hear the echoes of his past mockery haunting him. I had no idea. I never would've. I raised a hand. Stop. Let me help you understand something, Derek. You applied to the company of the same woman you mocked, dismissed, and laughed out of a restaurant table. The woman you once told to find a sugar daddy. I leaned in. Now you are the one begging for a paycheck. I should have rejected him right there, sent him out with the same humiliation he once enjoyed throwing at me. But I wanted more than revenge. I wanted closure. I wanted control. And I wanted them to sweat. So I hired him. Yes. I gave Derek the job. He walked out of my office thinking he had just won the lottery, completely unaware that he was walking into a beautifully constructed trap. The other two? Kevin and Brad. His closest friends, also my newest, contracted sales agents. They were already on the team, assigned to the Southern Regional Division. Young. Arrogant. Still just as dismissive. I recognized them the second I saw their names during a review of our affiliate onboarding spreadsheet. But they did not recognize me. Apparently, success changes people's faces. And I was counting on that. For 3 weeks, I let them enjoy the illusion of success. They were on board, trained, given expense cards, company phones. They attended our weekly meetings and exchanged emails with our C-level executives, never realizing the founder was watching, and waiting. Derek started to send emails suggesting leadership strategies, thinking he could charm his way up. Kevin flirted with junior staff in meetings. Brad made offhand remarks about how female CEOs probably just inherit things. Oh, the irony. I gave them enough rope to hang themselves. Every quarter, PowerShift hosted a 2-day corporate retreat for bonding, leadership training, and recognition awards. I decided this retreat would be unforgettable. The location? A luxurious mountain lodge in Colorado. The theme? Know your leadership. The trap? Public exposure. I invited Derek, Kevin, and Brad. They thought they were being honored as the fastest rising new hires. I even had their names printed on the welcome banners. The first night, we had a bonfire mixer. Wine. Music. Laughter. I watched them from across the patio, sipping from my glass like a queen watching fools dance at court. The second day was the keynote. I took the stage at 9 a.m., introduced myself formally to over 80 employees, and said, "Today's lesson is about how life always comes full circle. Especially for people who enjoy kicking others when they are down." I clicked the remote and flashed a photo onto the presentation screen. It was me, broke, sitting at a kitchen table with unpaid bills, from 3 years ago. Gasps filled the room. Then I clicked to the next slide. A grainy cell phone photo of that night at the dinner table, Derek laughing, Kevin pointing, Brad sipping his cocktail, while I sat there in silence. Dead silence. I walked across the stage, stared right at them, and said, "You see, I remember everything." Derek's face drained. Kevin shifted nervously. Brad looked for the exit. Then I dropped the hammer. I am terminating all 3 of your contracts, effective immediately. Your badges will not work by the time this meeting ends. Security has already collected your company gear. I suggest you leave with your dignity, if you have any left. The crowd erupted. Some clapped. Others looked away in stunned shock. Derek stood up and shouted, "You cannot do this. You're just bitter." I stepped forward. No. I am not bitter. I am better. Better than the girl you laughed at. Better than the broke woman you mocked. Better than you, because I earned every inch of this life with no help from the boys' club you so proudly built. He stormed out of the retreat, threatening lawsuits. Posting cryptic rants on LinkedIn. Calling HR. But I was always 5 steps ahead. They had signed standard probationary contracts, with conduct clauses. All it took was one detailed report from our internal compliance officer to back up my decision. No court in America would waste time defending their behavior. I even had video footage of inappropriate remarks, plus chat logs from Slack showing sexist jokes they had made during onboarding. And just like that, they were erased. Derek did not take his firing well. Of course, I had expected tantrums, maybe a few angry calls or emails. But what I did not expect was a public campaign to ruin me. Less than 48 hours after I removed Derek, Kevin, and Brad from the company, a Reddit thread began trending. Toxic female CEO fired us for personal revenge. The post was long, dramatic, and filled with lies. It painted me as a bitter ex-friend who used my position to destroy innocent lives. It called PowerShift unethical, accused me of discrimination, and suggested I was emotionally unstable. It went viral. My LinkedIn was bombarded. My company's Instagram got spammed with hate comments. Potential clients began calling, asking for reassurance. My name was being dragged through digital mud, and I knew exactly who was behind it. Derek. But what Derek did not know was that I had been documenting everything. 3 months before the retreat, I had implemented a full security audit on all company chats, emails, and Slack threads. Derek had also violated his NDA when he uploaded screenshots of internal company files in his Reddit rant, including slides from my retreat presentation. And the biggest mistake? He shared a short video clip, a motivational excerpt from my private keynote, and added music and branding to it, pretending it was his own creation. That video? It was copyrighted. And I had registered the speech and the media rights 6 weeks earlier. My legal team made sure of it. I filed a formal cease and desist within 48 hours of the viral post. He ignored it. So I escalated. Full civil lawsuit for defamation, breach of NDA, copyright infringement, intentional infliction of emotional distress, brand reputation sabotage. Derek laughed at first. He posted on X, formerly Twitter. "She's trying to silence the truth with a lawsuit." Typical. But it was not long before the court summoned him. And when he finally realized this was not just drama, it was federal, he tried to settle privately. I refused. We went to court. I will never forget standing in that courtroom, watching Derek sit there, now a man with no job, no reputation, no allies, sweating in a wrinkled suit, looking nothing like the smug jerk who once told me I needed a sugar daddy. I presented everything. Internal documentation. Chat logs with timestamps. The original media license. Copies of his Reddit posts and edited videos. Witness testimonies from other staff. HR complaints filed against him in his short time with us. His lawyer tried to argue emotional retaliation, but the evidence was airtight. The judge's words? This was not retaliation. This was accountability. The court ruled in my favor. Derek was ordered to pay $75,000 in damages to PowerShift. He was issued a formal gag order regarding the company. All defamatory posts were to be removed within 24 hours. His social media platforms were flagged. And best of all, The ruling was made public record. When the verdict hit the news, everything reversed. I received over a dozen new client inquiries within a week. Former employees reached out with congratulations. Even national business platforms wanted to interview me on ethical leadership and navigating toxic retaliation. And Derek? He disappeared from the industry entirely. Months later, I walked past a local coffee shop in Denver and spotted him behind the counter, wearing a cheap name tag and pouring espresso. He saw me. We locked eyes. I said nothing. He said nothing. And that silence? That was the loudest victory of all. You do not always have to scream to fight back. Sometimes, you just build. You grow. You succeed, louder than their insults, stronger than their laughter, and higher than they could ever reach. I was once mocked for being broke. Now, I employ people like him. And I will never apologize for that glow up.